Hello, SYNGAP Land. My name is Michael Graglia. This is episode 31 of SYNGAP 10, your 10-minute weekly briefing on everything you need to know about SYNGAP 1. And we got so much to talk about today. Number one, as you saw this week, we had a press release. We gave $308,000 to the wonderful team at Boston Children's Hospital to work on biomarkers and natural history study for SYNGAP 1. And now, while that sounds like a lot of money, let me tell you something. We got a screaming deal because we got some of the smartest people on earth to work on some really hard problems. They're going to earn this money, I tell you. They are. So they're going to do two things. First thing they're going to do is they're going to get 20 of our precious patients, and they're going to do research-grade EEGs. They're going to put a bunch of stuff on their head. They're going to pull down all of those squiggly lines, and they're going to figure out if there's some kind of indication of what it means to have SYNGAP 1 that we can read in those EEGs. Why does that matter? Because then we can measure that, and we can measure that changing in a clinical trial. That's going to help us help our kids faster. The other thing they're going to do is they're going to study all of those of us who were kind enough to put our data in Ciitizen, and they're going to write a natural history study. That's 120 patients right now. There's 120 patients right now who have signed up for Ciitizen, whose data is there, reviewed by the people at Ciitizen, standardized and normalized, available to pharma to better characterize our disease so the FDA and other regulatory agencies, because remember, to get a drug in our kid's head, we got to get something out of the lab, into a clinical trial, and past a regulator to get something that we can dose in our kids. And those regulators rightfully will insist on data to understand this disease and to understand what they're measuring before they allow a drug to be injected into a child's brain. It's totally reasonable for them to ask for that, but it's on us to get that data ready. So to the 120 people who have already signed up for Ciitizen, thank you. Your data is being analyzed. You are shaping the future for SYNGAP 1. For the other half of the U.S. population who hasn't signed up for SYNGAP 1, hey, we got about 30 days left. Ciitizen works in cohorts, right? They have a lot of different diseases they're working on. The next SYNGAP cohort will close on November 15th. We have 30 days left to get as many people as we can into Ciitizen. That data will be processed and then handed over to researchers in the next batch. So important, my friends, that you sign up, Ciitizen.com/SYNGAP1. This is an incredible company. Their privacy is rock solid. Their tech is rock solid. Their people are amazing. We know them well. We even have a SYNGAP parent who's working there. This is a great, great company doing incredibly important work. I encourage everyone to sign up for Ciitizen.com/SYNGAP1 so that we can support things like the grant we just gave at Harvard. And by the way, I tell you another thing that happened this week. I was talking yesterday to the CMO of a major biotech. You know, these biotechs, they work in stealth mode for a while, and then they come above the water and they announce they're working on things. And as soon as they come above water, we call them up and we say, hey, it looks like you're working on the CNS, central nervous system. Looks like you're working on CNS therapies. Why aren't you working on SYNGAP 1? And it's not like we're going to pressure them into working on SYNGAP 1, but sometimes these guys just haven't come across it. And we have a deck and we walk them through it. And we explain the prevalence and the incidence and all the incredible science, people like Dr. Huganier and others who are doing work on this. And we say, look, this is a targetable gene. Maybe you should think about it. And I got to tell you, this guy was being very nice to me, but he's kind of like, I'm just doing this for a favor for a friend. I'm talking to this guy. And then I started talking about Ciitizen, and he went, boom, turned on a dime. He went from being nice to me and just having the meeting to being like, you know what? There's this researcher I want you to meet. You know what? Come to think of it, you should talk to our biz dev person. Do you really have half the U.S. population in one data set? All their records collected? And, you know, and I was like, yes, sir, we do. We really, I'm not making that. We really do. And you know what that means to a pharmaceutical company, right? You know what that means to a biotech. If we develop a drug, we don't have to then waste 6, 9, 12 months collecting all the patients, finding the patients, having them do surveys, getting their no, that's all done. That's a year of time that they can get to the hard work of doing a trial and getting closer to having a drug in the market, which is what their investors need to see. We're here in the real world, people. Everyone's going to make choices and trade-offs. And the more work we do as a community to make it easier to work on SYNGAP, the more people will work on SYNGAP. The more people will work on SYNGAP, the closer our kids are to getting a therapy. If you have not yet signed up for Ciitizen, get on it. Help us all help our children. We're on the same team. What else? I'm coming in hot this morning. I just got off a meeting with some potential donors, and I was giving them the whole pitch on SRF and SYNGAP 1, and I got to tell you, I'm really excited. Like I said last week, we are doing some really good work here, friends. We are doing some really good work together. There's a team of dozens of volunteers who work on SRF every single day, and I'm just so proud of this community and the work we're doing. Like last week we had Brett doing the cannonball, right? I got my Linus Tech Tips water bottle here. Great water bottle. I had no idea who Linus was before the Cannonball, but now he's like one of my favorite guys ever because he just gave $10,000 to SRF through the Cannonball. Thank you, Brett. Thank you, Linus. That was an incredible ride. And I think the most interesting part, aside from the fact that Brett raised $151,000, was two other interesting things. Number one, so many parents were like, wow, I couldn't stop watching. And let's be honest, it wasn't that interesting. There's three guys in a car driving across America. It's pretty boring if we're honest. They're nonstop for 3 days. So why were we all glued to the screen? Because it was three SYNGAP dads talking and having a good time and doing something for our kids. And we are so hungry for connection as a community. It was just awesome. And to see them do that, and also the metaphor of like, this is an endurance run, right? Raising these kids is so much work. And not only did Brett drive across the country, he then turned around and drove back. And he'd only raised $146,000 only. When he'd gotten to Santa Monica, he turned around and he's like, I'm live streaming all the way back. Come on, people, we need $6,000. You know what? He did it. Because he's a SYNGAP dad, and we get it. We know that you're not done until you're done, and we're all working tirelessly for our kids. Speaking of working tirelessly, Nancy Kessler, thank you, Nancy. Next Saturday, so today's Friday, tomorrow's Saturday, a week from tomorrow, October 23rd, Nancy Kessler is hosting the first annual Karen Lieb Gala. I'm going to take the invitation off my corkboard here, my trusty corkboard. There's the invitation. The first annual Karen Lieb Gala, syngap.fund/gala. Classy. It's a classy invite. Because you know why? Nancy's a classy lady. You know who else a classy lady? Karen, the oldest known Syngapian, 65. She's a class act. Well, it's going to be a wonderful event. Thank you, Nancy, for running with that event. Thank you, Nancy, for all the she's tirelessly just, there's always another detail. And I'm kind of sad I'm not going to be there because I feel like I'm the only person who's not going to be there. There's people flying in from Missouri and Texas and other places. I can't even keep track of everyone who's going now, but it's going to be a great event. We're going to have Ben Prosser talk. Ben Prosser is one of our researchers. He's on our scientific advisory board. He's an incredible man. And it's just going to be a wonderful event. So if you are anywhere near New Jersey next Saturday, go ahead and go to syngap.fund/gala, buy a ticket and check it out. It's going to be a wonderful event. Speaking of wonderful events, I got one more thing to tell you about. Nonstop. It's nonstop at the end of the year, guys. You just got to buckle up and stay with us. October is where we are right now. But in December 3rd, Friday, December 3rd, 8 Central, think Chicago, there is going to be the third annual Synapse Roundtable. Now, those of you who've been around for a while, like, well, you know, Mike, 2 years ago and 1 year ago, you were talking about the first and second annual SYNGAP Roundtable. So what's up with the Synapse Roundtable? Well, the future is collaboration, right? We're no longer in a world where there's only one gene, and these companies aren't doing one disease at a time. They're doing them in buckets. So we've decided it makes sense to find the most effective rare disease groups out there and work in partnership with them. So we're going to be working with STX-BP1, led by Charlene, incredible leader in the rare space, great disease. Ben Prosser is also working on STX-BP1, by the way. And Geraldine Bliss, who leads CureShank3, same answer, incredible leader. Phelan-McDermott syndrome, similar to SYNGAP1. And the three of us are co-hosting the third annual Synapse Roundtable, where we're going to invite clinicians and researchers who are working on multiple of our genes to talk and educate the neurologists who might be attending AES and to learn about these diseases. The future is collaboration, right? What we want to do is we want to make it easy for people to tackle SYNGAP1 along with other diseases and to learn about the work that's going on to that vein, because we need a therapy for our kids. So in summary, this has been a pretty fast SYNGAP 10 because I'm on fire today. We've had 2 successful fundraisers, right? We had the Janssen fundraiser last week. Huge shout out to Suzanne and Brent about that. It's still going. They've raised $80,000. We had the Cannonball, $150,000. Next week, we're going to have the Karen Lieb Gala. Who knows what the number will be, but wonderful gathering and community building. And if you can be there, be there. There'll be some very special people in the room. We got another roundtable. We got a roundtable in December with 2 of our friends to help neurologists learn about all these important monogenic diseases. And we just funded work at Harvard, $300,000, building on the Ciitizen data. So if you're like, I don't know how these people are raising money. I don't have any money to raise. I get it. I understand a lot of people aren't that fortunate, and that's okay. But we all have a Syngapian, and we all have patient data, and we all want and need our patients' data to be reflected in the science so that our kids can benefit from these therapies. So if you haven't signed up for Ciitizen, Ciitizen.com/syngap1. It is one thing you can do. It takes 10 minutes. Got to get it done. If you have signed up for Ciitizen, God bless you and thank you. Have a wonderful weekend, everybody. Take care.